Subtle skills, big results.
Welcome to the Ninja Selling Podcast.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Ninja Selling Podcast. We're excited that you are here with us as always, and we have an awesome episode for you today. We have some special guests to talk about a tool that can really help you in a big way with your business. And so we're going to get to that in just a second. If you are new to the podcast, welcome. We're so glad that you found us. And if you're curious about what this whole ninja selling stuff is, head over to ninjaselling.com to learn more. And you can learn more about our coaching program, which is where Garrett and I spend most of our time. You just click on the Ninja Coaching tab up there. And if you're looking for a community of like-minded individuals, people who are experts in ninja, people who've been on the ninja path for a while, or people who are just starting out or curious about the ninja path and want to have a great community around you, head over to Facebook and search for the Ninja Selling Podcast, where you can join over 14,000 incredible people and have that support system for you. So Garrett, good morning to you. I'm going to let you introduce our amazing guest today. How are you, sir?
Good morning. I'm great. I'm amazing today. I'm having a good morning. I am grateful that we're getting to do this episode. We've been talking about this for a while behind the scenes. I'm always impressed at the technology and the things that are coming out of our industry. And it's funny, as we were kind of getting ready for this, I love the technology that's being created for other things. And then because of a realtor in the household, all of a sudden it's like, well, what if we did this, or what if we did that? And that's kind of where our guests kind of came out of today. And one of them is the realtor side of this I've been friends with for a very long time. And so Andrea Tuell is our guest today. Andrea, good morning.
Good morning.
Andrea is an absolute amazing realtor at the Group Inc. in Fort Collins, Colorado. We have known each other for a very long time. I've coached Andrea for a very long time, but we're not going to talk about that aspect of it today, because in our coaching calls, Andrea starts dropping these little hints and these little ideas and these little thoughts. And she's like, oh yeah, Guy's working on this and Guy's working on that. And I've known of Guy for a very long time. And I'm like, maybe we should talk more about this. And that's when she's like, okay, let's do this. And that's Guy Tuell. And Guy, good morning, sir. And I'm grateful to have you on today.
Good morning, Garrett. Good morning, Matt. Appreciate this.
Absolutely.
Well, so as we get started, Guy has a company that they specialize in QR codes. And I know that going through COVID and this world that we've been in, you go back 5 years ago and a lot of people were like, QR what? Like, what is this? And we all know that that's the number one way you get your food when you go to a restaurant nowadays, at least depending on the restaurant you go to, is like, oh yeah, QR code. Cool. We got the menu right here in our pocket. But it's so much bigger than that. And there's so many different dynamics and offerings and ways that this can be used and utilized. And Guy, you have a company that's called One QR. It's out of Fort Collins, Colorado. And I'd love for you to start us off here, give us a little bit of background. Where did this thing come from? How did you guys get started? And then we can go off into all the benefits for all the audience that we have that's listening to this today.
Man, I hope we have enough time to go back at how far back from the tech company, right? As a tech company, we started back in 2008, 2009. We had a concept of creating solutions, and really we're looking at a market that was really underserved. And we started developing technology for network marketing, direct sales businesses. And we were building robust back-end ERP systems. And the timeline for selling those to companies were long and arduous. For example, one was 5 years, 6 different executive teams. And so we're having to reintroduce ourselves. During that whole time, we're like, we need to pivot quick and peel out what people are using. And we did a platform that was like digital business cards and landing pages. And we quickly ballooned that thing up to be extremely complex, because everyone was like, oh, it'd be great if it could do this. And so, 2 weeks later, it could do this. Through all of this, our development team is international, and they live in the world of QR codes. Like, you leave the US and you go to Europe, you go to Japan, China, the QR codes are everywhere for everything. And our development team, since we were creating in 2009, was like, we have to have a QR code in our system somewhere. And so we had like QR codes for the distribution of the information that people were generating on our platform. And along this path, my business partner and I were like, hey, there's going to be something here with QR codes. So September 2013, we were just looking at the domain names that were not going to be renewed by whoever was sitting on them. And oneqr.com was sitting there. And we just put a watch on it. And like the next week, it was going to come due. And at 12:01 on the 25th of September, that morning, we purchased OneQR. And it's like, cool, we've got this domain name now. And we sat on it until 2023. And we started developing OneQR. And, hindsight, 2020, we would have launched OneQR. We would have been like, we need to get this out here right now. So we launched OneQR in December 5th of last year. So just over a month ago. And when releasing it, we're like, we need to make sure we are a fully dynamic QR code platform. And there's two different kinds of QR codes. They're static and dynamic. And what 95% of people know of QR codes or know the convenience of them are utilized through static QR codes. Something that you use once, you print once, and you hope you never have to reprint. And you hope you don't have to reprint in bulk, because if something was done wrong on the back end or on the print material, you've got to generate a whole new QR code to do something. And we were like, let's make sure that we have dynamic, where if I misprint, if I miss any information, I can just go in and dynamically adjust the back end destination of where this code is going to go. We're looking at basically how every other QR code platform was out there marketing. It can be utilized for any industry, anyone who is wanting to improve sales, marketing, and advertising. And through all of this, I'm married to who I think is the best realtor in the country or in the world.
You can say that, by the way. That's not just because you're married. You can say that. It's okay.
She's not pinching me right now, but it was like, okay, there's QR code platforms out here that people see in commercials, and I need a QR code. I can just go and find one here, and they market the exact same way. Whatever industry you're in, you can utilize them. And it's like, let's narrow in and let's see about being the reputable platform for real estate, for the industry of real estate.
And Guy, what I'm excited about kind of going down this path with you is that every QR code, I mean, believe me, there's been a lot of QR codes I've used, and I'm now kind of starting to understand the difference of a dynamic, because if I'm scanning one at a restaurant, I'm probably working with a dynamic QR code because they can change all that information on the background effectively and use it. Where I've used, a lot of QR codes for our own personal stuff, and I'm very quickly understanding I've been using static QR codes. Like, it's that one time we have it, it's attached to something, it's on our, manuals or whatever it's going to go through. And really it's just linking somebody to a website or something that we're offering, or in a podcast episode that we're offering. And it's that one-time shot. They're going to click on it. It sits out there. I'm never going to get to work with it. I can't control the backside of it. I can't understand anything that's going on with it other than it's just a link sitting out there.
Right.
As we get into the dynamic side of QR codes, from what I'm understanding from you is that you can dynamically control where this thing goes, and it kind of lives with you as you move forward. It's a part of your business, part of what you're creating. Is that right?
Absolutely. I know you guys from mastery aspect, right? Is if you're a master in your business, you can sort of dictate your success. I think, a lot of the messaging Andrea gets back to me that then I get to our marketing team is, OneQR can be a mastery tech solution. By implementation, you can really dictate the success of your marketing campaigns, your advertising, getting information out about you. That dynamic aspect, I think, is so overlooked because QR codes in general, I think, are overlooked because they're so convenient.
Mm-hmm.
There's a convenience. We live in a world convenience. People want to action, want to be able to do something right now, and the QR code gives them the ability to do it. So from, for example, with a dynamic QR code, another hot word out there is evergreen. They're evergreen. They live with you forever. You can do whatever with them anytime. As an agent, Andrea could have a listing. For example, there's like if she's in a magazine and she's got to have all the collateral put together 30 days before that thing goes to print, there's a really good chance that that home is sold by the time that magazine is printed in people's mailbox. That Andrea can then on the back end adjust dynamically where that QR code goes to. It can go to additional listings. It could go to her website. And it's not just sitting on that print advertisement with a static QR code that it really isn't doing anything for her. And to be able to have control on the back end, dynamically adjust that to where somebody can have an interactive experience. It's a big thing with QR codes. You want somebody to have an interactive experience. It's an interactive call to action where you want someone to go in your marketing.
Yeah. No, I think that's important.
Matt, before you jump in here real quick, I know you got stuff I can see your brain turning here for a second. I want to put in one more thing here before you start. Guy, you got extremely fortunate to have your one QR company running in the same household of I'm going to use the word dynamic here, of a dynamic real estate agent, a realtor that has this incredible business going. Because Andrea, you're not like dabbling in real estate. You're not like, oh, here, yeah, honey, we can try some of your stuff out in here on my one listing I'm going to have, hopefully over the next 6 months here that I'm great. You have business coming in, a huge clientele. You run a really successful real estate business. And I also know you're protective of your business and you're protective of your people. And so you're not one just to be like, sure, you can use my company, my people and my business as your little like trial and thing to see how your QR codes are working. So your level of protectiveness over this, I mean, obviously this is working for you and your business and what. So I'd love to really quickly hear from you. Like, how has this been and you don't need to go into the details, but how has this been adding this into your business that you've offered to your clients?
It's been amazing. I love being able to provide my sellers with analytics. So I have good data from these QR codes. I know how many people are scanning my signs. I can track people who come into my open houses. I get a lot of lead capture. It makes the display at people's houses when I launch a new listing way cleaner. I just have QR codes for property videos, photos, inspections, disclosures. Everything is just a scanned QR code and agents can just upload it right to their computer. It's amazing. Or people who come through, if a daughter's looking for her parents, scan it, text it on out. It's incredible.
You just said agents too. Here in my brain, I'm thinking of the general consumer as the one that's going like, oh, cool. Like I look at all this information, but the reality is if you have an agent that walks through that property, they all of a sudden have the ability of forwarding all this information off to their clients in real time.
Yeah, absolutely. And every Monday for any of my listings, I just pull all the agents who have been showing in that price point, get the QR link, and I send it out to all those agents. So we like to be proactive instead of just having listings sit in the MLS. We try to generate more showings through agents. And so I constantly am sending these out to agents all the time.
I love that. Well, and that's what I was going to ask is like, Andrea, if you can walk us through exactly how you use these, because we've talked about Kevin McCarthy in Texas before, Garrett, who's turned his for sale signs into just one big QR code now, which I think is just so cool because like it's instant access to whatever information you want. And so it sounds like you have all these different areas where you have kind of a catalog of QR codes almost that can go to different things. So just kind of walk us through a little bit of how you're using each QR code in your business and kind of what that process is, whether you're launching a listing or maybe even working with buyers if you use them there too.
Yeah, absolutely. I use them on my sign writers. So anyone going by, they can scan it. And like you guys have said, they're dynamic. So once that listing sells, I can still use that sign writer. I don't have to reprint them every time. And then even once that listing goes under contract, I can change that QR code destination to go to my website to show all of my sold listings, or I can direct it to my website to go to my seller's guide or buyer's guide. So a lot of times I'll redirect it even to new listings. So if someone scans it and they find out that listing went under contract, then they can see what other listings we have available and search there too. And then I use it inside of my listings for photos, videos, and I'm happy to share everything that I do. To give examples of where I've been using the QR codes, I use it for open house sign-ins. The guy had mentioned I do use it in print advertising as well. I use it on just listed postcards. So it goes out and people can scan it. And then that goes to that listing on my website, but it also shows any of my new listings that I have. And then I use it on my just solds, also goes to my website and has all of the just solds. So when you have them constantly going to your website also then will jump up because you're getting more traffic. And so you can use these to promote yourself in so many different ways, but also give information to people that is really helpful on the spot, that they don't walk out from a showing with a thick packet of information. It's all just on their phone. And we all know we've been trained to look at everything on our phone these days.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
One thing that I really loved about it is when I scan it and I can go to my property videos, everyone likes to show if they're interested in a house, they like to send out to their parents and their family and their friends. Like, we just went under contract on this house. Check out this property video. And it's really cool because then it has all of my branding. And then I get to track how many people have looked at that, which is awesome. So I can find out which listings are more successful, which ones, if people are clicking on videos or if they're clicking on the disclosures, I can find out what people are really liking and then continue to work on making that even better.
So tell us about that aspect of it, like the analytics side, right? Because I think that's, a lot of times we put a listing out there or whatever, and we're like, okay, I guess before QR codes, we're looking at website visits, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Who showed up to the website? And it's this data sounds like it's a little bit more comprehensive. So how has that data, now that you've been using it, helped you with communicating with your sellers about what's really going on with traffic, but also helping maybe perhaps identify who are the folks that are a part of that traffic to be able to communicate more value to them?
Yeah. I would also like to disclose that I am not tech savvy whatsoever. So this is very easy to use and very easy to see. It's literally just like an easy app on your phone, which was what I needed. I needed it to be simple. One, because I don't have time for something complicated. But two, I can just pull up the app, even if I'm talking with my seller and be like, oh, wow. For example, I just launched a new listing on Tuesday. I've already seen that we've had 80 views of their photos. So when they're like, I know we've had a lot of showings, how's feedback going? I can send it to them and say, hey, well, I know that we've only gotten one feedback so far from one agent or two agents, or this one said a maybe, and we don't have anything else. But man, you have had over 80 views on this property so far. And then they're like, wow, that's amazing. I'm like, and then we have this coming. And so it just adds an extra level of, we are doing everything. We are doing everything we can to work hard for you.
Well, and that's pretty cool too, because I just want to say, like, that's views directly to wherever you're pointing them, not like, these are the views from Zillow or whatnot. Like, someone took a proactive approach of either scanning a QR that you had. And we'll talk probably in a little bit about these links too, because that's always been a frustration, Guy. Before we started recording, you were mentioning like, yeah, I've been to websites before things, or someone sends me something on my phone and there's a QR code. I'm like, well, it's already on my, I can't like do it. Can somebody hand me another device so I can scan this thing here? But you have those links. So, but having that, so that's great that you have the insight of who's actually touching that versus, all the other kind of third party stuff that exists out there too.
Well, and this is where I go down the lines of like, we run into a lot with coaching people, Matt, that we watch people that have a hard time showing what their value is. Yeah, I mean, we list houses and we're going to do all these things. And it's like, well, what do you do differently than a lot of other realtors? Well, a lot of people don't even know what the average realtor does. So it's like this big kind of like lost area in there that we're trying to present our value. And I love, and novelty is not the right word. And when I say the word novelty, though, I'm saying something unique or different that makes you stand out from the rest of the crowd. Sometimes novelty can be kind of frivolous. So the way to look at it, I'm not doing it that way. But I look at like you sitting down with somebody and being able to, let's say you're competing for a listing, to say, here's how I'm going to keep you informed on everything that's going on. And when they're sitting there frustrated because maybe they haven't had showings, they haven't had the results they want, maybe they didn't get, and we've been trying to tell them the house is overpriced. Like, this is not a, like, I'm just making things up. Like, you can look at it and say, look, we've been driving people to this thing. People are seeing this. They're checking it online. They're looking at the photos. They're clicking on the QR codes. They're looking for more information. And after all this information, they're still not writing offers on this thing. Like, we are missing something. And here's the information that I have and feedback on it. Like, to be able to present that and sit down raises your level of professionalism over any other realtor that I've ever worked with in my life, to go like, oh man, she's got the data for me. Like, I can see what's going on. Like, I think that insight's tremendous.
It's been very helpful. I have found even my older clients who don't understand QR codes or tech very well, everyone scans. How many people have seen this? Everybody understands that, right? So that's been great. And then one other thing that I did want to add is, yes, I am very protective of my business because I've worked very hard to get it to this point. That one piece that I love with Guy's QR codes is they can be pretty. So QR codes are not all the same. You can upload your logo, you can change the color, you can change the shapes. And that was super important to me, that they didn't just look like noise, that they look nice.
That's cool too.
The ones I've seen of yours have your initials in the middle of. Is that pretty much your standard, or like what have you created, or what have you used for, like, because I could see making a different one for, and I want to talk about open houses here in a second, but I could see having a different one for a sign for an open house compared to one you're going to grab for information off of a sign. Like, how have you used that?
Yeah. And they keep launching more and more updates, which is really cool. So they're going to keep making it so you can add more and do more, and which is fun. But yes, mine typically just have my logo in the middle of them. And then I change the color to look cohesive with the rest of whatever kind of marketing I'm doing. So my sign writers, they're white. On my open house signs, they're also white with a blue background because the group. And then on print advertising, they're usually like a light gray color or beige. So I just make it go with whatever my marketing pieces are. So it looks like it belongs there and it doesn't stand out.
It looks professional, not like this big black square blob up in the corner that you could. Well, the nice thing about, like, talking about how you're doing it is like, not everybody who's listening to this was able to see it, but you held up an open house check-in piece. And the cool part is you can put that logo right in the middle of it. You can integrate it into what you're actually doing. And when you integrate it into what you're doing, it becomes part of the actual brochure rather than this add-on part. And we're all becoming more and more and more. It's funny. I was at my mother and father-in-law's property yesterday, and we were talking, and this book came up. It was a book about the outdoors and natural healing medicines and things like that. And as we're flipping through it, my mother-in-law goes, "Look, there's one of those things. There's one of those." Now, she's in her late 70s, but to watch her like get excited about a QR code, I'm like, that's really funny that we're going to be talking to Andrea and Guy tomorrow about this, because it really is becoming one of those things that the threat levels of a QR code, because I personally, when QR codes first came out, I'm like, no way I'm scanning that. Like, I don't want anybody tracking me. I don't want to know what's, but as we become more comfortable with them, everybody's looking at them as like a normal part of life nowadays. And so to take this back, it's interesting to see how people are adopting it, but then for you to be able to like customize it to the level of making it part of what your brand looks like and making it part of what your designs look like, I think is a great way to keep your professionalism looking really high. That's great.
Now, Guy, tell us about the QR link, because once now you're in the digital space, like we're in our digital worlds and all that stuff, like you have the phone, the QR code's in there, like we can't scan the phone from the phone, right? So, but you have these unique QR links that are tied to that QR code, so you can still track even if someone's sharing this via text or something to someone. Tell us how that works.
Right. So anytime you generate a QR code on our platform, and it's a very simple generation, it's like you push add a QR code, and it brings up the edit form, and you name it whatever you want it to. And a lot of times from your searching, and when you start getting lists, I think I was scrolling through Andrea's dashboard yesterday, and there's like 70 QR codes. The naming of it is how you sort of sort right now. As she says, we push things really quick in development. we'll be doing tags and subtags for a little more management element, but you put the name in, then you take your destination. So it's as simple as, well, I have one QR open on my computer, and in another tab, I have my website, and I just copy and paste my website into the destination. And I go through continually editing it, the color, the patterns on the inside, put a logo in the middle, whatever, and then push save. And dynamically, a short link is generated along with it. When doing print, you want to download the PNG file or the SVG, depending on if you're going to be throwing your QR code on a billboard. You put that on print, but each one of those with that short link is where I would utilize it in text, email, social platforms to share. Because to your point, Matt, like, here's a QR code on my phone. How do I scan this thing?
Yeah.
Well, there are ways to do it. You have to take a screenshot to open it in your photos, then use the lens, push the button, push QR code, and it takes you to the destination.
By the way, that time frame, what you just explained, I'm done. I'm gone.
Yeah, I'm already done.
Right? And people, if you really want to do it, that's how you can do it. Or you just take that short link and you send it through text, and it displays the destination URL or where you want them to go. From an analytical piece, advancements that are coming will know specifically what type of device has scanned a QR code, and also the amount of clicks that would be accompanying with that short link. So it's basically like an add-on. You're getting more QR code scans, but they're link clicks.
Even just from a logistic perspective, the analytics and everything is where amazing opportunity is. But I'm thinking, if I'm a busy realtor and I want to just always be able to send the same link of, here's my latest new listings or whatever, not have to worry about, oh, but I changed the website, or I changed this and I changed that. It's like, oh no, it's always tied to this QR code. And so I just always have that link that I can always easily share. Oh, this is my open house sign-in form. And if I wanted to update my sign-in form, instead of using a Google form, go to a paper form or some other thing, I don't have to worry about that link changing, because I'll just change it on the back end one time, and I can still always use that same QR code or link, which is, I think, that's it. I'm just thinking about the time saved.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it literally takes me 30 seconds to create a QR code and have my link.
Yeah.
It's that fast.
It's amazing. And then it's done. And then it's evergreen, as you were saying.
Yep. I don't have time for much more than that.
Yeah.
Well, so this also leads, talk about saving time, but also I think in the aspect of a lot of neighborhoods and things like that, when we're talking about open houses, and Guy, I'm not sure if it was Andrea or you that we were talking about this, but you lightly said, well, you can use the QR code on the open house sign that somebody can walk up, they can scan it, and it actually gives the address of where the property is. And I started to think about all the higher end neighborhoods that are like, look, we don't allow signs in our, you're not going to do that. That's not what we're going to litter up our weekend of our neighborhood like. At the same point, the amount of times that I've watched realtors go, nobody's getting to the open house. It must be we need more balloons. We need more balloons on more signs, and we got to have them on every corner. And the reality in our world today is that we're so used to being able to find what we want to find, click on the button that says, take us there, and then have your phone just chirp at you in your ear while you're driving to go turn left at in 100 feet. And this way that you were explaining it is that you can put the QR code, from what I'm understanding, on that first open house sign, and also anywhere that you're marketing that open house for the weekend. And anytime somebody clicks on it, like, it literally can guide them right to the actual property. I'm not making this up, right? This is what you said?
Yes. So I have QR codes on my open house signs now. I like to put the ones with my QR codes on busy streets. So when there's more traffic, people drive by, they click on it, and it just maps them from that busy street or intersection straight to my open house.
The passengers obviously are scanning these QR codes. Just want to make that clear, right?
Yeah. No, let's make it safe. But I can think back to when I sold real estate and doing open houses, and it was like, you did an open house from like 12 to 4. And it was like, man, it was a really busy open house till right around 2:00. And then all of a sudden it just died off. And at 4:00, you go out to go pick up all your junk that you left all over the neighborhood, and 2 of your signs have blown over in the meantime. It's like,
yep.
What if those blew over right around 2:00? Like, I wonder if that was the moment that this all fell apart. And like,
right. Also, we're starting to be able to, when people click on it then, and you're sitting at your open house, when people click on it. So, when people are going to be coming. So if you're sitting there working on your computer or working on something else, you can be prepared when they walk in. Like, you can have your game face ready. It's awesome.
I knew you were coming. You can make it creepy too. You were like, yeah, I knew you were 5 minutes out.
I think the cool thing with those is, Andrea doesn't have to have the 10 signs to get you through a confusing neighborhood. It's almost like 2 with an arrow pointing this way or an arrow pointing that way with a QR code. And if there's a realtor out there that has doing 2 open houses in the same day in the same neighborhood, while they're going to the next open house, they just get on their app and change the map destination of that QR code to the second one. And they don't have to go adjust the signs. They just go to their second open house, and
that's amazing.
Nation is pinpointed to the open house.
You think about the ease of just doing that. And even if you're having like a progressive open house, you team up with a few other realtors because maybe you have several homes listed in a certain area, or even for broker opens, right? I used to list all the houses I'm going to go see on broker open day. And then I'd go into Google Maps and then, drag and move everything and then print it out so I could then go to each one. Whereas if you have you just scan it and then boom, here, we already have all the steps worked out for you. Go here, 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 and here. And you could just move on down the road. That makes life easy.
My brain's going down the route of like, Matt's been driving me crazy. I'm going to send 100 people to Matt today. Here, Matt, you now have an open house at your house. There you go, buddy.
You can even just have some fun with people. Well, thinking about these integrations with phone apps too, and Guy, if you're open to sharing what's coming out with your QR code technology too, because not only is this great for pointing people in a direction, collecting analytics, but it's also a great way to help people take simple actions that remove steps from them doing things. Like when you say, hey, if you're interested, text me, then people got to go and grab your phone number, type the number in, which again, if you get texted somebody's phone number and you have to go back and forth between screens to type the phone number into your text and things, like this is cumbersome. Doesn't mean it's going to stop people from doing it, but you could probably help people with the ease. So now you're developing, scan it, and it already has templated text messages and emails and things that just are already open on your device to send to somebody.
Right. When developing this, I emphasized to our development team, we need to make sure we are fully dynamic with every QR code, every destination that we're going to be bringing to market. Everything else out there from the static dynamic platforms, again, 95% of the QR codes on all those other platforms are static. The only dynamic piece is links, right? Anything that has a URL. Or you download a PDF and you can get a link for it. You can make that part of a dynamic destination on the platform. Well, we wanted to make sure that additional destinations such as text, email, a phone call, a VCF contact download were dynamic. And so what's coming is when you go in and generate a QR code, you can select the destination in your editing and choose that you want an email. And what you fill in is your email address, the subject of what you would want someone to send an email to you with, and then the body. So in the subject, I'm interested in property listing 123 Main Street. And then in the body, it'd be like, hi, Andrea, this is, in brackets, your name. So they know they can clear that out. I'm interested in property 123 Main Street. I would like to learn more. Could you please send me information? And then when they scan that QR code, their email pops up, Andrea as who they're sending it to, the subject of I'm interested, and the whole body is there. All they have to do is clear out the brackets of your name. I'm giving them a guide of what to do. And they put in their name, Garrett Fry, and push send. Andrea then collects in her inbox a new lead with an email address as well as a name. Same thing goes with the text. Like you put in your phone number, you put in the body, that someone scans it. I now have collected someone's phone number and their name.
And the interesting thing is that it puts the power into the actual client then, because obviously, I like the text side of it. Is it all of a sudden you have this text pop up and you have the opportunity of sending that off. And we know how texts work. We're very comfortable with it. Everybody is. Then you get that chance of being able to go like, I am interested in this property right now. Like, I would think that the amount of just noise that's coming through on Andrea's side too, it's not just people just saying, hey, I have an inquiry, or just like clicking on a box of like just stuff that we're getting all day long. It's a very specific, I would like information on this property, which then that's a real person on that side. They know what they're sending you. They're not just clicking a box. Yeah, I think it just makes it so much more valuable. I'm excited to see that come out. I think that that's going to bring a whole different level of ease of use to the people that are using your product out there. It's great.
Right.
I look at that as like instant conversation creator too, right? I mean, and all the varieties you can use it, because we talk a lot about how we use it for leads and open house guests and things like that, but also for your own sphere and the relationships that are there. I mean, you have autoflow that goes to everyone that you know, and now you can have these QR codes that have quick actions for them to just instantly open a conversation with you about something. And then my mind goes to then all the back end of things too. Like if somebody sends the email with this and it's a question about that, I can have an auto reply that immediately goes to them with this other thing that they may not have thought that they would need, which then can provide additional value. And I go down a whole rabbit hole of different things that can be done there. But I just think the opportunity to create instant conversation is where I see the technology there. Because you even said, Guy, there, scan to make a call, right? Hey, you want to talk to a human? Scan this, and you don't even have to type in the number. You just scan it, opens up their phone. All they have to do is hit the green button to make that phone call, which I think this is amazing technology. And so, I mean, is there anything about this that we haven't covered yet that, Andrea, you're using in your business, or Guy, that's something that you see Andrea using that she hasn't told us about?
I wouldn't necessarily say that I use this in my business, but I will say that I talk about this when I'm educating my clients that I'm using these, is that all of Guy's QR codes are secure. And I didn't know anything about this until Guy started doing QR codes, right? And apparently what's the percentages are secure versus not secure QR codes out there?
A static QR code has no security to it. The static QR code.
What makes a QR code secure or not secure?
Being able to have that back end of the dynamic adjusting. The only way your QR code, so there's a term, it's called quishing, is the malicious activity that can be utilized with QR codes. And it's also, from Andrea's aspect, being able to educate people on when to scan a QR code and when not to. Like, do not scan a QR code that is on someone's email. Like, if someone sends you a QR code, don't scan that. That's why you have an accompanying short link for someone to click. That QR code, like you're seeing phishing happening, you're seeing malicious activity happening from those, because what people are doing is they can copy a QR code, a static one, and then essentially they have the ability to direct where that thing went to. And, if you pulled from your menu bar just a Google QR code, that one can be copied by someone else. And you would never know, because you have no management or analytics of where you initially set that QR code to go to.
Interesting.
From a dynamic aspect, the only way that could happen is if you gave someone your username and password and they went in and adjusted the destination of your QR code.
Never thought about that.
So to have that security piece, additional add-ons that are coming is almost having our own little scanner within our lens that within one QR, you can scan other QR codes. And yeah, it might be how we're playing it, but if you were to scan a QR code from another provider, it's going to say, this is not a one QR code. Don't trust it. Where if it's a one QR code, trust it. And this is where, also to be a QR code platform that's reputable for the real estate industry, like utilize one QR to be able to make sure that you have a secure QR code platform in your marketing, sales, advertising, whatever.
Think about the networking that can go with that too. If you have your one QR login and you have another agent using a QR, instead of Andrew having to say, hi, I'm so-and-so, I've now checked out your listing, you scan the QR code and that agent knows, Andrew is here with her customers. I will call Andrea. I don't have to worry about bothering her customers for feedback. Like, that'd be cool.
Exactly. And I just use it with my clients. Like, I'm not trying to get information from other people to go sell it for something. Everything is secure. I'm making sure that everything we're doing is top notch, and I want anyone in the public to be protected as well.
I love it.
So from what I'm hearing, guys, you are right at the tip of the iceberg of what you guys are working on and creating. Like there is you are literally in a very short amount of time here have created something that's very valuable for the real estate world. But at the same point, and far beyond real estate, like this is something that I look at, like a ton of businesses are kind of running in the back of my mind about how will you use QR codes for helping people have a more efficient journey with your business and your service that you're offering. And so like my brain was going to car sales for a second there. Like, do you imagine a whole lot where it's like, I don't have to talk to the salesperson and boom, you want someone to come give you a test drive. That's when they walk out the door because they scan that car. It's like, oh, maybe I need to open that lot. Maybe not.
Why are those not on lots right now? Just because people walk around on Sundays. I mean, I love going to dealerships on Sundays because there's no one there.
Because you can't close them, Matt. You got to close them. You got to put the heat on them when you got them in the moment.
But if there was I always end up looking up the car, you could have a QR code on it. The salesperson could know who was there on Sundays. Anyway,
we'll come back to that.
Squirrel.
Come back. So, but Guy, you literally are at the tip of the iceberg of what you're creating right now. And as you said, we have this coming out and this coming out. We're going to be able to do this. And that's in a short amount of time that you've leaned into this aspect of your business. And I'm really excited to see where this goes. And again, you have the best test facility, which is Andrea, who obviously trusts you and is very protective of what she's doing with her business. But you literally have the best, kind of proving grounds here. And I'm excited for you to see how this goes. I know that you just presented at the group and you were able to showcase what you're doing with all those agents. And I hope you have tremendous success around that, because that's the other proving ground for Ninja. It's been the proving ground for Ninja for, I can't tell you how long, since the 80s. And to know that you're helping all those agents out is incredible. So what I'd like to throw back to you real quick, if people want to know more about this, if they want to know about where do I go get this information, we're going to have links and we'll have all kinds of stuff attached to this episode when it releases. But tell us real quick, where can people go?
Go to oneqr.com, the number one QR.com. You can learn more about it. We're doing presentations all the time. We're doing here, I think in February, we'll be doing a 1QR in real estate webinar that will be available for anyone to register. That's in the events tab. We have the e-learning section in the footer, so it can walk you through. We're always cutting more and more training videos. The fun thing about it is we don't have to sit down and map out an hour training. It takes about, hey, I want to change the color of this. Here's a 30-second video that most of it is just showing you where to go in to change the color, or how to find your hex code or RGB to really dial it into your brand and marketing. So yeah, oneqr.com. Everyone right now starts with a free 1QR. Try it out. In the upper right-hand corner of that page will be get started. And the first thing you fill out, it's a 3-step process. Fill out the destination of your QR code, what you want it to look like, and then your username and password to be able to get into the desktop version, as well as that will be your key to get into the mobile app. And the mobile app would be a download at 1QR by Elify, Elify, and they work dynamically with each other.
So they get one free customizable, they're going to get one QR code that is really what they would get, but they get a whole lot more when they sign up and a lot more access to it. Is that right?
Absolutely. You want more, you want to sign up. Andrea's, how many of her she has on my test account, I've probably got 500. There's a lot to it. All you have to do is push in, generate a new QR code, and it's going to walk you through, okay, do you want 50 QR codes per month? Or do you want unlimited QR codes per month? Right now, our pricing is $10 for 50 QR codes, $100 annually. We give 2 months free, or $20 a month, $200 annually for unlimited.
Now that is at the time of recording this, everybody, that you're listening to this right now. And this episode is going to go out in a couple of weeks here. And I'm going to tell you right now that everybody that I've known that has come across Guy and this process and what they have here, it's interesting when everybody says, you're selling yourself too cheap. That's the messages that I'm hearing from people. So I'm just preparing everybody. If you listen to this and you go on there and it's 6 months after this, that pricing may be a little bit different. But as of right now, as this goes live, that's going to be very accurate to what you're going to get there. But when the whole world tells you that you're selling yourself short there for the value that you're offering, at some point, some of those are probably going to change. So just be aware.
Most definitely. Most definitely.
Matt, did we miss anything?
This is great. I don't think so. I mean, Andrea, Guy, thank you both so much for your time in sharing this technology, how you're using it. I think that we're definitely going to see more and more people using QR codes in general. And we hope that they're going to be using one QR because one, well, we're a little biased because we know y'all, but
Slightly.
It sounds like you guys are really developing the best part of the technology as well. So appreciate your dedication and effort to that. And Andrea, appreciate you for being, open to trying something new in your business and being that tester for guys so that this technology can get out there and being so open about sharing it with other people. So thank you guys so much for that.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Appreciate this.
You guys are amazing.
I have a feeling we're going to have you back on probably, I'm going to say 6 months, maybe 12 months with an update of what you're up to and what services are being offered and what's going on there. So we'll talk about that later. So thank you so much to both of you. I really appreciated your time and your energy and coming on with us.
Thank you.
Everybody who's listening, want to say thank you to everybody for joining us. As always, if you want to go check out more of what we're doing in Ninja, please go check out ninjaselling.com if you want to learn more about our coaching. Obviously, you've heard from Andrea today. I've coached Andrea for a very long time. What are we going back? How many years, Andrea?
6, 7?
We'll say 6 years. 6 years is good. 6 years. And again, I encourage everybody, what we try to help everybody out with is to find the coach that you really resonate with, that's really the right fit, so you can have a 6-year-long relationship and build your business that you want to build alongside a coach that you really are looking up to and having fun with. And I think Andrea sees me that way. I know I see her that way. I love our relationship. As we move forward, if you want to go check out a community with like-minded people, share your ideas, ask questions, we have the podcast community on Facebook. You can go check us out there. 14,600 people is the last time I checked in there. And that thing is continuing to grow extremely fast. As Matt says, fastest growing in the universe.
Absolutely.
With that being said, thank you to all of you. Thank you to everybody who listened. Another amazing episode. Appreciate you. If you enjoyed today's episode and would like more, visit us at theninjasellingpodcast.com.
There you will also find links for more information about ninja selling and coaching. Have an incredible day.